Peace, world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me Don't Mind sports and entertainment video. Some morning wood. I'm moving. Yes, I'm moving. Yes, my mouth is on the motor. Use the coast in the morning to avoid the funky odor. That abstract verses from the abstract Tribe Called Quest. Man, it's a lot to talk about, man. A lot to talk about. Tonight, football jumps off with the Green Bay, the Packers of Green Bay, and the Chicago Bears. Can't get any better for a matchup for opening night than that. Is it 2 games on tonight? I'm not sure, really, to be honest. I don't do preseason football at all, but it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful occasion. I'm gonna get into some boxing. Tank Davis, Anthony Joshua, and Ruiz over there. Where were they in Daria? Let me shut up. Over there in Saudi Arabia for the first meeting since the fight on June 1st. And my man Jarrett, Swift Jarrett Hurd, and J-Rock for December is off. And I might throw in a quick thought on Terence Crawford and that affects Terence Crawford and Top Rank. So all of that. Quick football stuff, man. We saw Zeke got his money. Could you imagine if Jerry Jones was a boxing promoter? Could you imagine the way some of these channels would be coming for him and what the criticism would be? Because we all knew where we were going to be sometime at the start of the season, whether it was this week or next week. We all knew what he was going to do. But can you imagine? I mean, the stuff that they come for, the constant dragging of Eddie Hurd. Could you imagine if Jerry Jones calling the man? I mean, you call Hurd a liar and this and that when he's a promoter. It's kind of synonymous in some ways. But Jerry Jones had to. I just don't know where they get all this money from. I mean, that's the 4th big deal. Zeke gets 6 years, $100 million, $50 million guaranteed. Highest paid running back, which is what he wanted to be, which he deserves to be. So, question is, how much does he play next week? And it was just like boxing. So they came out and said that, with the constant criticism, they came out and said that Zeke will be on the field for about 20 to 25 plays. And yesterday on First Things First, Nick Wright loses his mind. Like, how do you tell him the game plan? I mean, if you've been watching the game, how many plays? Just because they said it, I mean, it didn't mean that we didn't all know it, And if it's 28 plays or 31 plays, it could happen. You play to win the game, right? So, and another quick note from Nick Wright. So I got a lot of stuff today in a little bit of time. But Nick Wright has some grand plan, some grand experiment for managing the cost at the quarterback position. The Rams also caked up Jared Goff. I don't know if you like him or not. I like Jared Goff. Can he be a little soft? Can he be thrown off his game? Can he be intimidated and punished into poor play? Yes, he can, in my opinion. But, so anyway, quickly, Nick Wright says he really wants to see some teams stand up to the current trend of the quarterback getting, 30-something million, going up into 17, 18, maybe even 20, high as 20% of the total team cap, the salary cap. So he says his grand plan is, I want to see some team take a number 1 pick, a guy who's had some postseason success to some degree, been a top 5, top 10 passer at his position. And I want to see them not pay him in his 4th year. I want to see them ride it out in the 5th year, and then in the 6th year, franchise tag him, and then in the 7th year, franchise tag him again, and then draft his replacement. and then take 2 first-round picks in a trade to get rid of the guy that you developed. I'm sitting here like, this isn't innovative. You pay your quarterbacks. It's the most important position on the field. It's the most protected position on the field. This ain't a running back getting hit by tackle by 4, 5, 6, up to 11 players per run. This is a guy who you can't hit below the knee. You can't hit him up at the head. You can't hit him. You can't lay him out in the middle of the open field if he's running. This is a protected asset that's running around out there. All you need to do is put the right line in front of him. And then furthermore, and Nick was like, well, pay your end, pay your edge guy, pay your tackle, pay your left tackle. You might have to, if you do have a running back like Gurley, you might have to pay him. Pay your number 1 wide receiver. See what your tight end is about, and pay your big time cornerback. And you got all that money paid out. You can go and get you a cheaper quarterback. And again, I'm just like, no, bro. If you got a guy who comes in and throws for 4,500 yards, 68% incompletions, 30 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 8 to 12 interceptions, 35 touchdowns. Why complicate things? I'm gonna try to say. I mean, that's your quarterbacks. How you treat your quarterback is kind of indicative of how you manage your personnel. I mean, you want your quarterback to be the ring of honor guy that you bring back. 3 and 4 or 5 years later, you bring him back and you get a statue. And that's the thing. How many NFL teams even have a good quarterback in a passing era? In the passing era, how many teams even have a Hall of Fame quarterback? Who've drafted a Hall of Fame quarterback? I mean, the Redskins haven't had any. I mean, they had Cousins come in and throw for set the franchise season yardage record. He may even hit the touchdown record, but he did that back in consecutive years. But he wasn't a winner. And obviously, you see what happened. But I mean, Tampa Bay, Cleveland, Tennessee, Buffalo, the Jets. Like, you can name 15 teams who haven't sniffed having a great quarterback back there. The Colts was one of the rare examples, and Green Bay with Rodgers taking over for I'm drawing a blank, Brett Favre. But most teams cannot draft a quarterback. The Ravens, San Francisco, like Denver. It's not that easy. But anyway, let me get on, man. Quick entertainment note, man. I missed my shows last night. Pearson, Snowfall is heating up very nicely. And then what's his name? Yellowstone is gone for the season. But Snowfall and Pearson, I didn't check either one of those out just yet. So I'll get to those this weekend. Musically, later on tonight, I'm supposed to do a live stream breaking down Rhapsody's album Eve. I was going to do it last night, and I'm getting my production stuff set up, my images and my graphics and whatnot. And my wife comes downstairs bugging me to come upstairs for the night because she's cold in the bed. And I'm already a week late on this live stream, but I'm like, and I'm just getting all my stuff together, kind of getting my talking points together, what I want to say for each record. And I was gonna do it, but I was wrapping up some editing an article. My man Lazy Lefty, Queen City Boxing has finally come back to Bite Down Boxing to help me get some more content out there. So shout out to that brother. So I was messing with some of his stuff, which messed up my time, and then I had a little organization project out in the garage. So anyway, she comes down bugging me 2 times and asks me to come on upstairs. So I got to where all of my visuals and my presentation is all saved and together. So I'm like, all right, man, let me go up here. You know, maybe she's asking me to be up there for a reason. Now, if you've been married above 10 years, maybe even above 8 years, you've been together 15, 17, 18 years, you know some things slow down during the week, during work nights. But I'm looking at my computer like, hang out here with one person that's gonna watch this live stream, or go up here and see if what was the joint with Get Lucky Tonight with can't think, Pharrell and the two dudes with the mask. But yeah, let me turn this off. So I go upstairs, I walk in the room and my wife is snoring already. And then I lay in the bed. We play this little phone game before this game on our phones before we go to sleep. It's 3 rounds. We played that, and then she's out. And I'm like, man, I really could have been downstairs doing what I needed to do. But that's the life, you know, that's married life. I'll let you in on that real quick. Boxing. The big one, let me not lead with the big one with Jarrett Hurd. Let me walk back some thoughts that I had on Tank to a degree. On a recent Instagram picture post from Tank, he had I was critical of him, and not really critical, just aware of where he likes to spend his money, and how that might tie into any business aspirations that he might have or others might have for him in terms of being independent. So I'm looking at his Instagram post last week, and he actually has ownership or partial ownership, or I'm saying ownership of a trucking company there in Maryland, in the Baltimore area, I guess. And he showed a couple of trucks. It's got the GTD, get the draws. It's got the get the draws trucking operation, and carriers, whatever they want to call it. And I was like, oh. And that's what his post was about. He said he had over $700K in vehicles. I want to say, did he say $1 million in jewelry? Again, both of those not very smart. Those are liabilities. But anyway, a man's got to live and have fun. But I'm very impressed that he has his trucking company, man. I don't even have to try to open the books on it and evaluate it and all of that. If he has 2 to 5 trucks and he's employing people that look like him, or he's employing people, instead of just giving them money, I'm going to give you a means to make and earn a living. That's dope. Flat out. So I salute Tank if that's what's going on. Now, is he looking at spreadsheets and fuel costs and trucking routes and delays and all the logistics? I'm betting no. But you can still put some money out there, get it going, and you can hand it to your team, and dudes can hunt and kill for themselves. Kill and eat, however it goes. Anyway, Tank Davis. Andy Ruiz Jr. and Anthony Joshua over in Saudi Arabia for the first leg of their international press conference tour for their December 7th fight over in, I've seen Diriyah and Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They had the presser. I didn't even watch it yet. I just saw some snippets. The interesting thing was the introduction, or the hello between Eddie Hearn and Andy Ruiz. Another thing is how silent people became that were saying what Ruiz was going to do and what Al Heyman was going to do to control this fight. And now you see where it is and where it's going down. Now, it had to be some compromising. Just like I said, Andy had to get paid some more money, and he had to go do what he had to go do. It was pretty simple. So, anyway, But when Andy Ruiz was coming in, Eddie Hearn and Ruiz, it was an introduction between them two, and they shook hands, and did the whole pound thing. It was like, what's up, and it was all cordial and whatnot. And again, man, that's just emblematic of the business side of this stuff. They don't hate each other. We out here, it's real hate towards Anthony Joshua. It's real hate towards that man. They need each other to make this big fight. I'm not going to read too much into body language, what was said, any of the comments and whatnot. Andy Ruiz, he's got that laid-back, soft voice. And he talks a little, not slow, but like medium. And it's like a real warm voice that he has. And he's not emotional or anything. So it'd be difficult to kind of talk real trash to him. Then he smiles a lot. He's a little round. He's a different dude to try to intimidate. But I will say Joshua has to be kicking himself in the ass now with these optics when you look at the fact that, one of the most memorable moments leading up to the fight in June was him telling Andy Ruiz, here's your belts, hold your belts. And being all different. I will say that, I see some brothers, and this is why I'm off of Twitter right now, man. I see some brothers that's constantly on Anthony Joshua about everything. And they went out of their way to say how he looks weak here, and he's not this, and he's not ready. He doesn't have any self-assurance, blah, blah, blah. He's small mentally. I mean, here's a dude who's exercised an immediate rematch, okay? Whatever you're saying, is he breathing funny? Is he this? Is he sweating unusually? Is he stuttering a little bit? Does he look uncomfortable? He's a man who made a rematch to fight the man who just knocked him down 4 times. So you can read into this and stretch it out however you want to. He did what he needed to do to try to make things right for himself. Okay? Which brings us to, before I get that, the Zone had a really dope card next Saturday, man, with Haney and Abdulayev at Madison Square Garden, Heather Heat Hardy, and Amanda Serrano, and then Daniel Roman against I don't even know my man. How do you pronounce his name? That's too many of those Middle Eastern type names. I'm sorry, but Murajadan or something was who Roman was supposed to fight, but Roman has tendonitis and is pulled out of that card. That would have really been a dope DAZN card in my opinion. And now that's a WBC eliminator, I believe, for Devin Haney. Michael Hunter is on there. You can't deny that was a dope card. Okay, so messing with Lefty last night pulls me back onto Twitter. And the announcement came out yesterday that Jarrett Hurd, the former unified champion at super welterweight, after suffering his first loss at the hands of Philadelphia's Julian J. Rock Williams back in mid-May in Fairfax, Virginia, Jarrett Hurd is not going to take that fight. He's not going to take the rematch, and that fight is now off. It was scheduled for the 14th, which is coincidentally the same day of the return of Terence Bud Crawford. I have been saying on here before, the hell with the PED stuff and the VADA testing. This man is going into the biggest fight of his life and has not even named his replacement trainer from Ernesto. What's Ernesto? Rodriguez or Gonzalez? My bad, man. I don't have no notes today. Yeah, the hell with the VADA testing. Like, who was going to train this man for the biggest fight in his life? And instantaneously yesterday, the PED gets thrown around. Ignorant to the fact that they had VADA testing for the first fight. And Jarrett Hurd's side immediately agreed to that for the first fight. There was no questions. Now, J-Rock and his trainer, Stephen Edwards, Breadman, have been adamant and public about, hey, we running out of time for you to get scheduled or signed up for VADA testing, and there will be no fight without it. But again, for you to struggle, for you to lead with PEDs, how is a man that's, and I tweeted this, because Lefty had me on there, but how is a dude who's been thought to be huge for the division the last 2 years, what would he be taking PD to show up and do what exactly on fight night? Now I know there's money you can invest, there's science that you can get into that would probably do whatever to get you to whatever you want to be with on fight night. But here's a guy who, now he takes a hell of a shot. I mean, you can get that to me. He's taking a hell of a shot, but he did get knocked down in this particular fight. But we've never looked at him body wise and he's juiced to the gills, all of that. We've never said that about him. And like in my tweet last night was, with this PED stuff, who in the Jarrett Hurd camp would be facilitating or managing or administering the PEDs in a manner to where you don't have any problems post fight? Because you still have these tests. There's still some testing that's done by the state athletic commissions, which some of this stuff can disappear in the blood in 24 hours and so on and so forth, all of that. But like I tweeted last night, we just saw how his corner, how they performed on fight night against J-Rock. We saw how ill prepared he was. We've gotten some a different understanding of some of the other stuff that was going on. Does that lead you to believe that somebody in the camp would have really been on their game to administer the PEDs and the cycling and all of this stuff to where they don't have no problems and you lose your title, because of that? So that's my problem with a lot of this talk about PED use. Who in the camp, who on the team is really even capable of doing it the right way, and being undetected and not hurting the fighter? So, anything is possible. But and I guess for me, like I said, if this dude is taking some stuff to lose weight and to lose weight, to stay in shape and to aid with weight loss along the way, what is that really doing? How is that really making him better, more powerful, or stronger on fight night? So, and that's kind of reckless to some degree because they asked J-Rock about it yesterday, and his reply or comment on the situation with her pulling out the fight was like, it's kind of smart if you ask me. But then he said some other things that kind of left the door open, like, well, I'm just saying, what do you think? And put two and two together, something along those lines. And like I said, I just don't think, I don't think that was really what was going on with Jarrett Hurd. I just don't. And I guess lastly, before I really wrap this up, speaking of December 14th and the Terence Crawford fight, again, man, some of this stuff, there's some of the outlets out here, some of the channels, to try to go in on Terence Crawford. I mean, it really speaks volumes when we're attacking anybody, and how the same person is constantly or consistently attacked by the outlets out here, people out here. We see what the narrative has been from some on Terence Crawford that are outside of the ring, and creating a story and a narrative that he's a terrible businessman, that he's ignorant, that he's not aware, that he's not cognizant of all this stuff. But now the latest thing has been to say that and to try to trash ESPN and Top Rank. But now to say that the Richard Comey and Teofimo Lopez fight, excuse me, is somehow for ESPN and Top Rank to put more shine on Teofimo Lopez, who is the future, their future. And that Lopez being on that card is meant to usurp some credit and love and all of that in the spotlight from Terence Crawford. Really? That's the spin on that? Really? We could say the same thing with David Benavidez being on against Anthony Durrell on Spence and Porter. Like, Comey Lopez being on that card, it's the end of the year. It's probably the last card of the year. We getting our asses kicked all year with, we're exposed with Crawford's opponent because of the BS in boxing. So bringing in Teofimo Lopez, one of our better assets who happens to be free, and Comey, and Lopez isn't even the hands down favorite to defeat Comey. It's a good fight. So the way that's been spun, like I said, man, I'm really starting to. I'm worried about the people that support this stuff and buy into this stuff, and then the people who are putting it out there. But it's called business. It's called putting a great show out there. It's trying to hide the fact. Like, you see, they're not even putting a name out there of who they're fighting before fighting with Terence Crawford, because that's not who they really want. They don't want Kavaliaskis, Green Machine in there with him. We know what the outcome of that fight is. But they are where they are with what they can do. They're boxed in. So, like I said, man, I've heard people try to break down simple business matters of boxing, and they F that up royally. So for you to try to talk in depth on something like putting together a fight, matchmaking, building a card, your opinion on it is moot, and it's easy to see what the game is. It's making a good show, and it was making a show to compete with a damn good rematch. And that was the last thing on Jarrett Hurd, doubling back to that. That had to have been his best payday that he's walking away from. It had to be great ratings that were gonna happen, with that being the fight of the year. And then it was gonna be the day before my Washington Redskins hosted the Philadelphia Eagles on in the NFL. They would have fought the day before on Fox. So all of the promotion and all of that type stuff, it was all set up for an awesome moment. And for Jarrett Hurd to walk away from it, it shows kind of the prudent thing to do, being that you don't have a trainer. But he's got to regroup quite a bit. And going up to middleweight without addressing some major things. Lara came out and said he needs to work on his defense, which is obvious. Which is why I said, the big story here was who is going to be training you? Because you don't change all of this stuff in one camp. And the other thing is, I don't know how you walk away from this fight when a man dominated you in your hometown in front of your people, knocked you down in the second round, and dominated you. Like, as a competitor, I want to see you try. I want to see you, like I just said with Joshua, like, we got to run that back. So that's something interesting to stay tuned to, how that unfolds or gets resolved, because that's just I'm like Deontay Wilder. There can't be no discrepancy, which is totally different than with Wilder and Ortiz. But it can't be this glaring discrepancy out here that I got manhandled in front of my people. Like this, we got to rectify that situation. There was one other thing that I did want to mention. Oh, going back to I said no notes here, no organization. I apologize. Anthony Joshua and at this press conference. One thing that I will, because I saw something about, Eddie Hearn making some comments on Deontay Wilder, talking about Fury accepting some step aside money and letting him do the undisputed fight with the winner of Ruiz-Joshua 2. Remember at the end of Boomerang, when they were walking down the street and Angela told Marcus when the sister was walking by and they just got back together and the sister was walking by eyeing Eddie Marcus, and he went to go turn around to look at her body, and Angela was like, if you look at her, I will break your neck. If Anthony Joshua veers off and answers any questions about Deontay Wilder, he need his ass kicked. Any questions about that fight whatsoever in these next two, today New York and then back in London tomorrow, I think, if he answers any questions and speaks on Deontay Wilder, he need his ass kicked. You need to be 100% 10 toes down focused on Andy Ruiz. Hey, I'm late. Let me get on out of here. Bite down boxing. Don't let them count you out. Remember, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Have a great day.